Jungkook stumbled into his mansion, his hand pressed tightly against a wound to stop. His face was a mask of pain and determination as he barked out a command in his call voice. Call the doctor now. He then made his way to his room, each step leaving a trail of. Downstairs, Wan flinched at the sound of his voice, still feeling the fear and pain from her own wounds. Despite everything, seeing Jungkook's heart stirred something within her. She grabbed the aid box and slowly made her way to his room. Inside, Jungkook, growing impatient, he shouted again, "Where is the doctor?" His voice echoed through the halls, making Wan's heart race even faster. Gathering her courage, she knocked on the door and entered. Jungkook's gaze snapped to her, his eyes dark and filled with a mix of anger and pain. She swallowed hard but moved closer, holding up the aid box. "I can help until the doctor arrives," she said softly, trying to keep her voice steady. Jungkook's eyes narrowed, but he didn't push her away. "Fine," he muttered, his voice rough. He sat down heavily on the bed, and Wine approached him carefully. She opened the aid box and took out some antiseptic and bandages. His hands trembled slightly as she began to clean his wound. Jungkook winced but stayed silent. Wine glanced up, seeing the pain ached on his face. "This might sting." Jungkook hissed but didn't flinch. "Just do it," he growled. She worked quickly, her hand gentle but efficient. As she wrapped the bandage around his hand, she couldn't help but notice the tension in his muscles starting up to ease. "There," she said, trying off the bandage. "It should hold until the doctor gets here." Jungkook looked at his bandaged hand, then back at her, his expression unreadable. "Thank you," he said gruffly, almost as if the words pained him. Wine nodded, stepping back. "I'll go now," she said, turning to leave. Jungkook's mind stormed with anger and determination as he watched Wan work on his wound. He got furious that anyone other than his wife entered in this room, yet he knew he had to keep up the facade. His plan required gaining her trust and eventually making her fall for him, no matter what her true intentions might be. "Sit with me," Jungkook said, his voice softer but still commanding. Wan hesitated, a flicker of fear in her eyes, but she slowly moved to sit on the edge of the bed, her body tense with unease. Jungkook's intense gaze never left her, making her feel both uncomfortable and shy. Despite his cruelty and the pain he had caused her, there was no denying. Jungkook leaned back slightly, his eyes scanning her face. "You're scared of me," he stated, not a question but the fact. Vi nodded slightly, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes." "Good," he replied, his tone dark, then softening his expression, he added, "But you don't need to be, not anymore. I want to make things right." Vian looked at him, surprised by the change in his demeanor. "Why?" she asked, her voice trembling. Jungkook sighed, feigning sincerity. "Because I realize I was wrong. I hurt you, and I regret that. I want to make it up to you, to show you that I can be different." Vian trembled slightly, feeling both nervous and frightened around Jungkook. She carefully pulls her hand away from his gentle grasp, using a flimsy excuse to leave the room. "I should go to check if the doctor has arrived." Jungkook watches her retreat, a calm smile on his face that doesn't reach his eyes. As soon as the door closes behind her, his expression darkens. He sees inside. He rips off the bandage he had just applied to his wound, throwing it aside. Jungkook paces the room, his mind replaying the memories of his late wife, the warmth, the care, the love she used to show him even when he was at his worst. And now he is stuck pretending to be someone he isn't, just to execute his plan, his fist clenched at his side, seeping from the respond wound. At night, Jungkook stands by his window looking out at the dimly lit grounds of his mansion. He notices Van quietly slipping out of the main hall, her figure moving cautiously in the moonlight. Curious, he gets up from his chair silently, opening the door to his room and stepping into the hallway. He follows his footsteps. As Vine makes her way to the room at the end of the hall, Jungkook hangs back, watching her every move. He waits a moment before pushing the door open slightly, peering inside. Vian sitting on same chair in the center of the room, her posture tense. She speaks, but her voice is not her own. It's deeper, more menacing. How does it feel, Jungkook, to be in the presence of the woman you once feared? The voice says, a smirk playing on her lips. Jungkook heart races. Hana, he whispers, stepping into the room. Wan's head steps towards him, her eyes glinting with a cruel light. Yes, it's me, she replies. You didn't think you could get rid of me so easily, did you? Jungkook clenches his fist, trying to control his emotion. What do you want, Hana? She laughs, the sound chilling. Revenge, of course. You took everything from me, even my life. And now I'll take everything from you. Jungkook stepped closer, his eyes blazing. You will never win, Hana. I'll find a way to save Ryan and end this once and for all. Hana's expression darkens. We'll see about that, Jungkook. We'll see. Hana's spirit lets out a chilling, creepy laugh before it exits Ryan's body. As usual, Ryan faints, but before she can hit the ground, Jungkook catches her in his arms. He lifts her gently, carrying her back to his room. He lays her on his bed and stares at her unconscious form, a smirk playing. Jungkook doesn't believe in ghosts and spirits, and he will never will. This whole drama was should just a ploy to make Hwan believe that he genuinely cared for her. As he looks down at her, he thinks convincing her of my care is the first step. He gently strokes her hair, his expression one of faint concern. Ryan, he whispers softly as he believes she is awake, you are safe now. Inside, he laughs at the absurdity of it all. To him, this is just another game, another strategy to achieve his ultimate goal. But outwardly, moments later, Ryan stirs slightly, moaning softly as she begins to regain consciousness. Jungkook sits beside her, his expression one of relief. You are okay? Wan blinked her eyes slowly, focusing on Jungkook. What happened? She asked, her voice weak and confused. You fainted. Jungkook replies, his voice gentle. Hana's spirit left and you collapsed. I brought you here. Wan stirs and look up at Jungkook with wide, confused eyes. Who is Hana? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Jungkook takes a deep breath, his expression darkening slightly. Hana was a mafia queen, he begins. She was ruthless and but before that she killed my wife. Tears start to well up in Wan's eyes as she processes what he is saying. So my body is haunted by her spirit? She asks, her voice trembling. Jungkook nods, his gaze softening as he cups her face in his hands. Yes, but you don't have to worry about it. I am here to protect you, he says, his voice firm yet gentle. Wine hums softly, still sobbing as she buries her face in Jungkook's chest. He wraps his arm around her, holding her close and laying her against his. I've got you, he whispers soothingly, stroking her hair. I won't let Wan continues to cry softly, feeling a mix of fear and comfort in Jungkook's embrace. She can't quite understand why she trusts him, even his dark past, but his words and actions seem genuine. For the first time, Jungkook held her tightly, his mind racing with thoughts of revenge and strategy. Despite the warmth and tenderness he shows her, his revolves remain cold and calculating. This is all part of his plan. Rest now, he murmurs, his lips pressing against forehead. You are safe with me. As Vine slowly drifts off to sleep, Jungkook's expression hardens. He's playing a game, but he's determined to come out on top, no matter the cost. Over the next few days, Van finds herself falling for Jungkook. Every time Hana's spirit possesses her, Jungkook is always there, taking care of her, comforting her. His presence becomes a constant source of solace, and soon enough she realizes she's in love with him. Jungkook, meanwhile, grows weary of his act. Despite his initial intentions, he hasn't been able to extract any useful information. Jungkook thinks to himself, it doesn't matter if she's connected to Hana, a 19-year-old girl can't really do anything to harm him. His thoughts shift towards a different kind of plan. He starts considering Wine as a potential partner. One day, Jungkook enters Wine's room. That night, he wears a mask of false emotion, ready to play his part in their scripted love story. Wine, he begins, his voice soft yet determined. I have something I need to tell you. Wan looked up from her book, her heart fluttering nervously at the seriousness in Jungkook's tone. What is it, Jungkook? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Taking a deep breath, Jungkook stepped closer to her, his gaze unwavering. I I think I have started to develop feelings for you. He admits the word feeling foreign on his tongue, and I want to marry you. As Jungkook proposes to Wine, she blushes and shyly looks away without saying anything. Her eyes widen in surprise, her cheeks flushing with a mix of excitement. Jungkook grabs his arms around Wine from behind. She remains silent, feeling a rush of shyness as she turns her face away. Sensing her hesitation, Jungkook pulls her closer, his embrace strong and reassuring. He begins planting soft kisses along her neck, each touch sending tingles down her spine. Wine's breath hitches at the sensation, her cheeks flushing with a mixture of nerves and excitement. Jungkook then scooped her into his arm and walked her to bed. He genuinely lays Wine down on bed, hovering over her as he buries his face in the crook of her neck, showering her with kisses. However, Wine suddenly grabs a sharp clip from her hair and swiftly plunges it into Jungkook's neck. Jungkook's eyes blazed with fury as he looked up and grabbed her neck. His fingers. I knew it. He snarls, his voice laced with anger. Wine remained composed, a smirk playing in her lips despite the pressure on her neck. If you know, then you should have known to grab my hand instead of my neck. Wine say, and before Jungkook can react, Wine strike again at the same spot on his neck, causing him to collapse unconscious onto her, his grip loosening at his fall. After dragging him into the room and securing him to the chair, Wine ensures Jungkook remain unconscious by inflicting further injuries. She knows that when he wake up, he won't be able to resist much due to this weakened state. Once satisfied with her work, she splashes water on him, causing Jungkook to stir. Jungkook tries to rise from the chair. He demands to know who she is. Who are you? He asks sternly, when her expression fierce and determined response. Jungkook, instead of showing sign of pain, dark laughs, his head bowed as he lacks the energy to look up. Hannah, sister, what can a mere child like do? Sahana flares and she forcefully grabs his chair, making him meet her rage. Don't underestimate me because of my age. With a determined voice, she confesses her true motives. I am here. Jungkook laughter fills the room, but there's sinister edge. Sana releases his hair, standing tall and defiant. My sister, your wife. She committed, so if anyone is to blame, it's you, not my Annie. Jungkook's expression darkens. What nonsense. Sana's tone turns sarcastic. You were so obsessed with defeating my sister that you forgot about your own wife. Yes, my sister had your wife, and something unexpected happened with her that should have not, but my Annie had the culprits right away. She even promised to send her back to her husband's house in the morning. Then why did she choose over going to you? Jungkook's denial of the truth about his wife's departure intensifies his anger, prompting him to violently shake the chair in the futile attempt to vent his frustration. But before he can escalate the situation further, Sana takes a decisive action. With a trembling hand, she raises and pulls. Sana drops a weapon, her body trembling, as tears blur her vision. Collapsing to the ground, she is consumed by a flood of emotions, overwhelmed that she finally took her sister's revenge. After some time, Namjoon arrives and carries Sana in his arms. He had been part of this plan all along, standing by Sana's side. While Sana had been living in America, away from Hana's dark world, the bond of blood between the sisters remained strong. Sana had made up her mind to seek revenge, and Namjoon had promised to help her. He knew Sana had no desire to become a mafia queen. Before Hana, she had been happy in her student life, and after seeking her revenge, she would want to return to that life. However, before embarking on their mission, Sana promises Namjoon that she will give him her sister's throne once their task is complete. I know very few people have watched this fan fiction series, but those who have seen all the parts, I want you to comment. Also, I'm planning to write an Indian princess fan fiction, so please subscribe to my